An absolutely dominant win by the Utah Jazz over the Sacramento Kings. They were up by 30 in the fourth, so obviously the integrity of the league is on the line, possibly ruined forever. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoopsner Show. All right, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're new here and you're a Jazz fan and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you're on the podcast and you're listening to this and you haven't reviewed it, then please review it. And if you're on Twitch right now live, make sure you give a follow. We've already hit 30 followers on Twitch. I don't know what that means. I don't even know if it's playing right now, but we got 30 of you following it, so that's pretty cool. I guess it's under Just Chatting on Twitch. I don't know. We're trying to figure these things out as we go. But the Utah Jazz have figured one thing out, or they found out over these last 2 days that they've ruined the integrity of the league. Oh. Everyone's losing their minds that the Utah Jazz might do with their team what actually might help them achieve their goals of winning a championship. I know that none of them want the Jazz to win a championship. None of them care about the Jazz, nor cared about the Jazz at any point this season. But now they do, I guess. I guess now they do. Because Utah has a chance to be great. And don't you dare forget for a second the reason they're doing this. Well, there's two reasons. In fact, I wrote about it on SLC Dunk. Please go read it. I had written like 1,500 words last night, and I had to stop because it became just one giant hate right against Zach Lowe because he made me mad. And all these other bozos on Twitter that think that they are somehow the protector of the league's integrity. Give me a break. We all know why this is a big deal to the league, and it wasn't that the Jazz played their players in the fourth. Well, it was because of that, but it wasn't because of the integrity of the league. We all know why. It's because it affected the gambling lines. And gambling companies don't like it when teams do something like that that affects their gambling lines. They don't like it. And we know where all this money's coming from is from those guys to all these different places. That's why. It's why I think the Utah Jazz tank will be fine, even after a game like tonight. Yes, Utah is just one game up on the Dallas Mavericks now. No one ever talks about them, and the things they did to lose games. They do talk about the Jazz. Utah will be fine. I do think that Utah is going to have to just, take this one step further. It's about time to light this candle, baby, and just prove to the league that what we're willing to do the right thing for the Jazz. Tonight, the Jazz played the Sacramento Kings, the most pathetic franchise in professional sports. Absolutely the biggest depression case I have ever known. They rested like everyone tonight. DeAndre Hunter, Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine. They rested all of them. And they got promptly beat by like 30. Utah showed them how good Utah is going to be and how pathetic they're going to be forever. I mean, I've had Kings fans reply to me on Twitter, and one thing that helps me not get mad when a Kings fan comes quick at you is that they're a Kings fan. And being a Kings fan is truly the worst punishment they could ever get. Worse punishment than anything I could ever say to a Kings fan. Any insult would never really hurt them that much because they've already been hurt enough. They're a Kings fan. They will never know joy. They will never know happiness. They will never know for the rest of their lives what it's like to feel hope and blessings. They'll never feel that. They never will. Jazz fans are feeling that right now, though. Jazz fans are. Even with the entire league, the Zach Lowe's and and obviously Adam Silver and Bobby Marks. And, I have a soft spot for Brian Windhorst because I think he held at least the most reasonable position, but all of them obviously got some sort of memo from Adam Silver. They did. And I know they do because I've had those things in the past too. From the stupid league office that doesn't know how to manage their own league. And the Jazz are in this situation doing what's best for their team, and it is based off of the things that Adam Silver himself set up. The Jazz are in this situation because of Adam Silver. Yes, the Jazz should not have made the trade where they traded a first-round pick to the Thunder to get off of Derek Favors' contract. That was a mistake. It was really bad. But the way this league works, Utah, for the last 3 seasons, has tried to do things the way they are supposed to do them and did not win the lottery, did not get rewarded. The first 2 seasons post Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, Utah did things the ethical way and were not rewarded. They did not jump. Everyone who says, oh, you don't have to be in the bottom 5 to jump. Well, then why didn't the Jazz jump those first 2 seasons post Rudy and Donovan? They did not. Along with 10 other teams that were later in the lottery, did not jump, right? So season 3, apparently what was ethical for the Jazz was to do what they did. And they traded, they played a lot of bad players that had no future with the team. They lost a lot of games and ended up getting that number 1 spot after resting Lauri Markkanen for most of the season. And we're not rewarded, even by going to the top. And why were they not rewarded? Was there some conspiracy against the Jazz? No, there was not. What there was going against the Jazz was the incompetency of Adam Silver, who changed the lottery odds. Let me just read something to you. In fact, let me go to SLC Dunk here, the best Utah Jazz blog that ever was. And I'm not biased, that's just a fact. But before 2019, the lottery odds were actually fine. Actually, Utah had never tanked before then, but they probably should have thought about it because before 2019, things were different. The lottery odds weren't as flattened, and if you were the worst team in the NBA, you had a very, very good shot at least being top 4. Like if you were not top 4 and you were the worst team in the NBA, it was crazy. Now it's much more likely. They flattened the odds, and what it's done is just ruined things for the worst teams in the NBA. They have no shot of getting better. There is no conspiracy. It's incompetence by Adam Silver. So since they changed the lottery odds in 2019, the team with the worst record has not picked number 1 for 6 years straight. That means the worst team in the NBA. If you're trying to create parity, what are you trying to do? You're trying to improve from the bottom. The worst record has not picked number 1 for 6 straight years. There's no conspiracy against the Jazz, guys, because it's happened to everyone else who was there. It is because Adam Silver, not because of some conspiracy, not because they gave the Dallas Mavericks some sort of deal. That's just bad decision-making by Adam Silver to ruin the lottery. The team with the worst record has fallen to number 5 3 years in a row. So it's not just the Jazz. And yes, that team at least got to pick number 5, but they did not get a top 4 pick. It was not just the Jazz. It was the 2 teams before them as well. Play-in tournament teams have won the last 2 number 1 picks, Mavs and Hawks. So what has Adam Silver done? He has rewarded playoff teams who are already there, and he has made it impossible for teams at the bottom to get out of the bottom. That's what's happened. There is no conspiracy. It is just the incompetency of Adam Silver doing this to not just the Jazz, but the Wizards, the Brooklyn Nets, all these other teams at the bottom. This year, those dumb, stupid Pacers get to have a gap year, and they're not ruining the integrity of the league. Apparently, it's the Jazz, who have been screwed 3 years in a row because of Adam Silver's choices. Right? But somehow the Jazz are the one ruining the integrity of the league. Heaven forbid the Jazz do something that actually helps their own team, right? Heaven forbid that they actually do well. And so it's very easy to attack the Jazz. 2 games, the Jazz rested players in the fourth quarter. 2. And they had an absolute media firestorm over it. Because guess what? It's easier to rag on the Jazz than it is to talk about the All-Star game. That's also ruined by Adam Silver. They have not figured anything out to fix that. They've tried more dumb combinations with the All-Star game that no one cares about anyway than they have to fix tanking. And there is not a lack of ideas. There is not. But they seem happy to be with these. And the reason I know that all these reporters and all these writers that want to keep their good little connections to the league, their little sources and connections in good order, are going to absolutely rag on the Jazz with them. Because that's what the league wants to do. The league is watching the Jazz. And the moment Utah does anything they don't like, they send out their little text or their little email to all these guys and say, this is a travesty, this cannot happen, blah, 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 blah. And so, like good little boys and girls, those writers and tweeters and podcasters and media all jump on the Utah Jazz, even though the Jazz have actually done less egregious tanking this year than these other teams. Utah's at 6. They don't say anything about the Sacramento Kings, who tonight rested Levine, they rested Sabonis, they rested everyone else. And yet the Utah Jazz are the ones that are ruining the integrity of the league. And like I said, it's not the integrity of the league, though. It's the gambling. That's what it is. They don't want to ruin the integrity of the lines. That's where they make their money. I'm sure a gambling site said something, and anytime the money is something that comes into question, that's when stuff happens. It's just the same old saying, follow the money, and that's where you'll find your answer. Right? That's where you'll find it. It's 100% that. The Jazz, here's the thing, and guess what? Utah, get ready for resting, because apparently that's the ethical thing to do. You know, guys online that are saying the Jazz are ruining the integrity of the league, they don't say anything about the blowouts that happen against teams like the Kings tonight. Utah goes full power and just absolutely decimates them. They did not need to rest all their guys, but they did anyway, and Utah beat them by 30. There's not even a lot to dissect from this game. The Kings are terrible. I mean, I don't know if there's really a ton you can take. I mean, a good job by the Jazz destroying the Kings, but like, this was never competitive. It was not a competitive game at all. There was zero chance of this being a close game. So what Utah needs to do is just rest the players. Apparently, that's the ethical thing to do, so that the gamblers and the DraftKings and all the other different sites can get their lines in order, so that the things are, I guess, the integrity of the gambling. That's the thing that matters the most. And I get it. It's a part of the money that makes things work. Even on this YouTube channel, on SLC Dunk, that has supported these different things. But there's a fine line here. And by the way, the thing that bothers me the most, I mean, I guess that's the thing. And I guess one of the reasons I was pro trading Markkanen before was to avoid this firestorm that the Jazz are going through right now. I actually, at this point, am pretty impressed with what the Jazz have done. The cojones they've had to do what they're doing is impressive. It's impressive. And I don't know if I would have had the cojones to do this. I probably would have traded Markkanen for 3 firsts or something to somebody, and then the Utah Jazz wouldn't have had to worry so much. But guess what? I actually love what they ended up doing. Screw Adam Silver. Screw all the faux outrage on Twitter and on the podcasts and everywhere else and on ESPN. Screw them. Those guys have no integrity. Zero. Their opinions are based off of what the league tells them and what their sources tell them to think and do. Right? That's who. But anyways, Utah's just going to have to do things the ethical way, and that is just shut down their players, because apparently that's okay. The other teams are doing it. They were doing it earlier than the Jazz. On December 4th, the Brooklyn Nets rested Michael Porter Jr. against the Jazz. We talked about it here. Utah went full strength and beat the Nets. They rested Michael Porter Jr. against the Jazz December 4th. So anyone who is online saying that the Jazz have been doing this sooner than anyone is not true. It's not true. So guess what? It's time to rest players. It's time to sit them out because Utah does not have a shot at the play-in. They don't. They lose their pick if it's not in the bottom 8. So they're going to keep it. I still think they can jump 3-4 spots. But guess what? They're just going to have to do what the league wants them to do, and that's just sit their players, make up injuries. I guess that's the ethical thing to do. Apparently, changing your rotations with your own players in game is against the rules, even though other teams have done it. If you're old enough like me to remember when the Golden State Warriors owed the Jazz a protected pick and lost 17 of their last 20 games and made rotation changes during games to lose the games, we lost that pick. And the Golden State Warriors kept it, and they drafted Harrison Barnes. And, it was okay then. It was okay then. They acted with integrity then. But when the Jazz do it, it's a problem. It's pretty stupid. It's pretty stupid. And it's unfair. It's always unfair. It's just the way it goes. Like, some people can gaslight Jazz fans and say, oh, there go Jazz fans with their, victim complex again. Well, it's actually true. Sometimes it's just true, right? Like, this literally happened this last week. It's literally the league piling on the Jazz when other teams are doing it. Washington has been more egregious than Utah, right? Sacramento rested everyone tonight against the Jazz. The Brooklyn Nets rested Michael Porter Jr. against the Jazz on December 4th. They were doing these things to beat out the Jazz. Dallas tried to out-tank the Jazz. And they're above Utah. They won the number 1 pick, right? They have the guy to build around. And they're still trying to tank. Utah, who has not won the lottery the last 3 years, I promise you, if the Jazz had won the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, they would not be tanking this year. That's just a fact. But because of Adam Silver ruining the lottery, flattening the odds, the Jazz have to do it again. They have to. There's no other way. Now, you got to give the Jazz credit. Despite never winning the lottery, tanking still worked because they had prospects that they were able to turn and picks that aren't their own. They were able to turn those into an elite player in Jaren Jackson Jr. And Utah's going to be really good next year. Really good. And guess what? They're going to add another pick. If they win the lottery, Utah might be extremely good. Like, we're looking at a team that could potentially push for the finals if everything went right. If Utah wins the number 1 pick and they pick Darren Peterson, my goodness. Like, at that point, you have questions about who do we sit? Who comes off the bench? Right? Like, Keontae George is looking like an absolute superstar. We know how good Lauri Markkanen is. Jaren Jackson Jr. looks like a revelation out there. By the way, Jaren Jackson Jr. the last 2-3 seasons in Memphis has had to have felt like he's been in the worst situation you could imagine. Now he comes to the Jazz. They look incredible. Utah doesn't even have Walker Kessler back. And so if you win the lottery and you have Darren Peterson on there, AJ DeBonsa, I'm higher on Caleb Wilson than Cam Boozer, but, either one. But what if you take Darren Peterson and he's like, Kobe Bryant, and you put him next to Keontae George? You've got to decide. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson, Walker Kessler, you probably have to think things through. Like, and there's a world where you're like, do we just make Jaren Jackson the center? I don't know. It's really crazy where this Jazz team is going. It's really good. And yeah, they could be pushing for a play-in thing, but it's not the right thing to do. Utah has their cap space maxed out. They need one more young player on the books. For if they win the lottery, that's going to be just absolutely tremendous, because not only will they add an elite player, but they will also get that elite contract. You know, you win the number one pick, yeah, it's like $10 to $14 million or something like that, but it's low cost for an elite player. And then you put that player on this Jazz team. I mean, Darren Peterson, if he's on this Jazz team, and I know there's a lot of questions about Darren Peterson, to me it looks like he just wants to play in the NBA. He's tired of playing college. By the way, Kansas has never done a good job with their prospects. They suck at helping, and college basketball in general sucks for developing NBA players. I swear the worst thing ever is trying to scout these guys by watching these games, because it's always some 5'8" guy my height that dominates the ball. And like, for example, I'll watch Tennessee and I want to watch Nate Ament because I think Nate Ament's going to be really good. But you watch that freaking team and you watch the small point guard just dominate the ball all game, taking shots that he shouldn't, keeping the ball to himself, looking off the star player because he wants to make a name for himself. It's impossible sometimes to scout these guys. It's freaking hard. You have to watch like a 40-minute game to maybe see 2 or 3 minutes of them initiating and things like that. And you got to make decisions off of that. It's crazy. So anyways, really frustrating. Adam Silver sucks. He did a bad job. They flattened the odds. And not only did it make it impossible for the lower teams to get better, it actually incentivized these teams to lose more, because they have an actual chance to win. Like, Portland is not going to be too interested to make this play in because they have a chance to just, or maybe they will. Maybe they'll push. I don't think they really have a choice at this point because, Memphis is losing games on purpose now. Dallas is losing games on purpose. They've lost 8 in a row. Utah's won 2 in a row, so this is bad. But so is Indiana. By the way, screw Indiana, man. Screw them. They traded for Ivica Zubac and haven't played him. And they said they're not going to play him for a while. Screw them. That is garbage. Like, that's the thing that makes me mad. Like, I guess I understand. Obviously, we get it. But the fact that Utah is told that they're the ones ruining the integrity of the league when Indiana trades for Zubac, doesn't play him. Utah's been playing Jaren Jackson Jr., by the way. They're just mad about the substitutions. Screw all of them. The Washington Wizards trade for Trae Young and Anthony Davis, and they're not playing them the rest of the season. And yet somehow the Jazz are the ones ruining the integrity of the league. Like, what's worse? Losing games by 30 points like the Wizards and them do, like the Sacramento Kings tonight. My light's so bright. It's too bright. 1 second. No, it's too dark. Whatever. It's a little dark. Anyways, what's better? So a team like the Washington Wizards or that are not playing their players they trade for, the Indiana Pacers, they're not playing their players. That's apparently okay. But or is it better that the Jazz play Jaren Jackson Jr.? The fans actually get to see what he looks like with Lauri Markkanen, with Keontae George. They just make their substitutions to do the same thing that the other teams are doing. Which is worse? I'd prefer the Jazz way because I get to see the player with Markkanen. Like, that's interesting and kind of fun. And also, it's the best of both worlds because they still lose the game. And I don't know why it's a problem for other teams because they get the win. The pathetic Miami Heat couldn't beat the Jazz even when the Jazz pulled Jaren Jackson and Lauri Markkanen. They couldn't even beat them. If that doesn't tell you how good this Jazz team is going to be, I don't know what will. But apparently that's the wrong way. So instead of Jazz fans getting the best of both worlds where they get to see their cool new player in Jaren Jackson Jr. play with Lauri Markkanen, they get a flavor of what that looks like. Instead, Utah's going to have to do what the league wants them to do and rest the players. So if anyone in your family has a hard time with it and says, oh, I can't believe it, the Jazz are trying to lose. Well, this is the thing that Adam Silver did. It's Adam Silver who created this situation, not the Jazz. Adam Silver did this because not only do the Jazz have to compete with the bottom 6 teams to tank, they're competing with Brooklyn, Indiana, New Orleans. Well, New Orleans trying to win, they just suck. But the Wizards and Sacramento, so not only do the Jazz have to compete with them, but then they have to compete with these teams losing games on purpose too. That's why it's happening earlier. It's because these teams are tanking as well. Milwaukee's trying to lose. Memphis is trying to lose. Dallas is trying to lose. Chicago's trying to lose. So not only does Utah have to compete with the worst, but they have to compete with these teams also. It's insane. And so I just Adam Silver's not done a good job. He's been a bad commissioner. He's not really improved a lot. And in this season, I mean, the regular season, I don't know honestly, I don't think there's a lot they should do besides just go back to the regular lottery. Just go back. Right? Or just, I don't know, flatten it so everyone's the same amount. You may have teams that try to just miss the play-in, but if everyone has the same odds in the lottery, then that might just change it. Right? But do it next year because Utah's already been doing the work. You screwed Utah once, don't screw them again. Flatten the odds. Or do something where, like I think the way the NHL does it, where like something along the lines of if you're at a certain level, you can't jump above 4 because it actually allows the bottom teams to get better. You don't get better in this league unless you have elite talent. It's just a fact. Even this Kings team, who, by the way, honestly, my favorite team to win it over the Jazz is the Kings because I don't care who they draft. They are going to ruin them. They're terrible. They are so putrid and bad. What's exciting about this Jazz team is that you know that if the Jazz win the lottery and they get a top tier guy, they're going to coach that player to the absolute maximum capability. That's what makes me excited. Darren Peterson comes here. I have no doubt that he'll be a top 10 player. He just looks that good. You get AJ DeBonsa. I have no doubt that he can be a top 10 player with this coaching staff, with this Jazz team. By the way, AJ DeBonsa last 6 games has gotten out of his shooting slump. He's absolutely tearing it up. It's nice to see. We probably do a quick one on this one, guys. I don't know if we need, this Kings team is just depression. Like everyone played well because the Kings, rested everyone, didn't ruin the integrity of the league, but this game was never competitive. Markkanen 50% from the field, 19 points, a plus 15. Jaren Jackson Jr. absolutely throttled this Kings team. 23 points in just 22 minutes. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, but a plus 27 for Jaren Jackson Jr. Holy smokes. Yusuf Nurkic, 8 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 26 minutes. I mean, Jaren Jackson and Lauri Markkanen, they only played 22 and 20 minutes. Is the integrity of the league destroyed now? They rested in the fourth quarter because they were up to 30. Is anyone to mention that? I don't know. Ace Bailey got 30 minutes tonight, and I thought he looked nice, actually. And I know it's against this Kings team that's not resting, so, grain of salt. But nice to see him knocking down threes again. 3 for 6, 5 for 9 from the field, 13 points. Look at this, 4 rebounds and 4 assists. That is nice to see and an important part of his game going forward with all these bigs that are going to be on the floor, especially Markkanen. Or not Markkanen, Walker Kessler. Because I guess we saw Walker Kessler moving the ball pretty well in those 3 games, but Ace Bailey being able to move the ball like this is really nice for the offense. Collier had 14 assists. He's just absolutely destroying teams. Apparently, it's ruining the integrity of the league, though, for Isaiah Collier to have a coming out party the last 5 games. He's looked awesome. Just an awesome player to have coming off the bench for the Jazz. Very nice. Cody Williams looked really good in this one too, guys. 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. He's a real piece. And that's exciting. He's become something really nice. Sensabaugh, we know what he can do. And when he's playing well, he can really light it up. 8 for 14 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3. He hit the 3 that kind of ruined everyone's day last game. But that's what, the Jazz have been drafting pretty well. pretty well. By the way, on Cody Williams, has anyone complained online about Bacelis over Cody Williams lately? I haven't seen that argument. I haven't seen that complaint lately. Looks like the Jazz did pretty well. Pretty well. Let's see. Kevin Love played. Vince Williams Jr. kind of is the quiet steal of this draft. He is so incredibly long. 3 for 6 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3. 8 rebounds, 3 assists. He is nice to have. He's going to really push for minutes next year. It's going to be hard for the Jazz to keep him off the floor with the length and defense he's going to bring. What an absolute steal. Like, steal. In fact, Memphis probably traded him to lose some games because he provides defense and length. I didn't watch a lot of Vince Williams before because I didn't watch a lot of Grizzlies, but man, am I liking what I'm seeing now. And then finally, John Conchar, who plays 19 minutes. He's fine. I like him. I don't mind him on the team. I don't know if he's going to play a lot next year. We'll see. Maybe. And finally, Kyle Filipowski got some minutes, but tonight was more of a night to see what the Jazz might look like next year. It's crazy to think that what happens is a lot of this will shift down. Isaiah Collier obviously becomes Keontae George. Yusuf Nurkic becomes Walker Kessler. And then we'll see what happens. Do the Jazz win the lottery and get what's his name? Darren Peterson, and maybe Ace Bailey and Cody Williams and Vince Williams are coming off the bench? Holy smokes. What a awesome team that would be. And then when you have you have the luxury of having like Isaiah Collier and Bryce Sensabaugh too, just exciting to think about how good this team's going to be. All right, guys, I think that's it for tonight. Just so tired of Adam Silver. I am so tired of that guy. He has been just it really sucks that like everything he's decided has no question hurt this Jazz team. They better not find that. I don't know. It's just been pathetic. All right, let's do the lottery tonight. Utah stays at 6. Let's see if they jump. Oh! Woo! Utah jumps 5 spots, baby. Atlanta somehow jumps 8 spots and gives their pick to the Spurs, the number 3. Are you kidding me? How pathetic is Atlanta? Oh my gosh. What a pathetic loser team. Quinn Snyder sucks, man. But I don't care. Utah gets the number 1 pick. That's extremely exciting. Giving the number 3 to the San Antonio Spurs would be so frustrating. Oh, well. Guys, let's give a shout out to the All-Stars tonight. Let's give a shout out to Ball So Hard, Ballstat 23. See ya, Lex Slater, Ryan Perry, the legend, the name means king. Jace is the ace, Garner. Steve Areno, Stuser, let him cook sturdy pots. Ezekiel Ricibe, the man from down under. Tyson Price, the price is right. Jordan the GOAT, best roll. Christian House, money to Haas. Robert Hall of Fame, Arcs Poetica. Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire. Key for 3 at PG, the OG, and Patrick Akubo, the connoisseur. Guys, like the video, subscribe.